Hey, we're gonna get to Living God in 1 second, but here's what you'll see in this video. And you're always welcome to skip around. I put chapter markers where everything is below. But first, I'm gonna show you a playthrough of the song in the original key, the key of F, with both lead and rhythm electrics. Then I've got a short devotional thought for you that relates to this song. Hope you stick around for that. And then lastly, I break down the tones on this song at the very end. This song uses my Quad Cortex signature preset as the bass, but then I tweak it to fit this song specifically. And in that section, I show you all the changes that I made there. So if you're interested in that preset, you can always check out thetoneshepherd.com, or you can just use these principles on your own preset, whether you use the Quad Cortex or not. But I also have TONEX, STRYMON, Fractal, and other resources that you can check out on my website as well. All assuming you actually enjoyed the tones that you hear in this video, but I hope you do, and I hope this resource blesses you. Before I go into the breakdown section where I go over my approach to the tones for this song, let me encourage you with something real quick. In ancient Rome, the authorities came up with all kinds of brutal ways to deal with criminals. We all know about the horrific and inhumane penalty of crucifixion, but there's a lesser known but equally sadistic punishment that Rome gave out to murderers. They would shackle the convicted killer to the dead body of his victim. The murderer would literally be tied face to face, hand to hand, waist to waist, foot to foot with the dead and decaying body of his victim. And as the dead body decayed and was infested with disease and rot, the murderer would get infected himself and slowly die of disease. I share this with you because this is the image Paul uses in Romans 7:24. In this whole section in Romans, Paul is giving that well-known and very honest admission that there are two laws at war within us. One law of our flesh that keeps us addicted and shackled to sin, yet another law, the law of the Spirit, that's pulling us out of the grave and leading us to life and peace. And this war inside of us, Paul admits, it stops us from doing the good things we really want to do and somehow keeps us doing the things we don't really want to do. But then in Romans 7:24, Paul kind of reaches the climax of his argument and he says, "Who will rescue me from this body of death?" Which many believe is a reference to this Roman form of punishment. So Paul takes this gruesome image of his day and connects it to the idea of our sin. When we sin, the consequences of our sin are chained to our body. A body that's still alive, but now slowly being poisoned because of the sin still chained to us. And without an intervention, we'll end up in the same place as our dead sin. But the good news is that Paul reminds us we do have a Savior. Someone did intervene. And so he says, "Thanks be to God who delivers me through Christ Jesus our Lord." And so when we sing this song, death was never going to hold you, so it's never going to hold me, because you're the only thing holding on to me. When we sing that, we can remember that Christ, through his resurrection, gave us power to defeat that body of death hanging on to us, and instead praise and give thanks to a God who stood in our place, standing face to face with death himself and overcoming it. Listen, I don't know if the writers of Living God had this image in Romans 7:24 in their minds, but maybe you can consider this the next time you sing it and just erupt with gratitude because of the freedom you've been gifted by Jesus. All right, so in this section, I'm going to break down some of the parts, but really the tones. I want to show you what I did in the Quad Cortex to tweak my all-in-one preset to get the tones that you heard in the video. So if you weren't familiar, basically this is my all-in-one signature Quad Cortex preset, and it's the preset that I start every song with, and then I tweak parameters based on what I hear in the song and what I just feel the parts need. And so for the lead guitar, I'm just going to walk you through piece by piece. I won't mention things that haven't been changed from the template, but just notable things that have been changed. Playing a Duesenberg Fullerton CC, P90 in the neck, and humbucker in the bridge. All right, let me show you something here. On the EQ for this song, I just felt like at least for the intro through that first verse, or that, I should say the intro through verse 2, I wanted a little bit of low mids taken out, because when I'm on my neck pickup for this part, I just wanted, just less low mids, wanted that neck pickup to be clearer. So I did that for the EQ. And then this is my daily driver setting for that part. And then the other notable thing I did is I swapped this digital delay for a dual delay. Just was feeling like the original part had a dual delay, but I wanted the delays to be parallel and not serial or series, whatever. And so basically these two are parallel. So I have an eighth and then a dotted eighth, and then this cross feedback here kind of slightly blends the two together, so it's like sort of parallel, sort of series. So this is the so that's kind of what I got going on there. And then that's the settings for the first reverb, and these are the settings for the second reverb. If you want to copy this, screenshot it, pause the video, do all that. So that's that intro part through that first chorus. All that good stuff. And then we go into chorus 2, and that I use my humbucker and do this. Now for that part, you can see I actually brought that low mid back up because I felt like if I kept that low mid down like I did for the neck pickup, it made the bridge pickup a little too bright. So I wanted that warmth back, and so I got that there. And then the daily driver settings are there. Dual delay settings I don't believe changed at all, but if they did, you can screenshot that. And then these are my reverb settings for that chorus 2 part. So then it goes into that interlude part, which is that fun. So for that part, obviously on my humbucker pickup, and yeah, the EQ is flat, minus that low cut, but that's always there. Then I added a high octave and a sub octave there, and then went to my Benson preamp, one of my favorite drives, at those settings. Dual delay kind of stayed on the entire time. I didn't mess with that a ton. And then these are my settings for the reverb before and after. No modulation on, nothing notable on that EQ block. That's always there for this guitar, for this preset. So yeah, that goes through that part. And then I play that for the interlude through like the majority of the bridges. Then the very last bridge before the chorus, it kind of kicks up a notch. So I switch to my Aspen Secret capture, and at those settings almost at noon all the way across the board, just a touch of treble diminished. Those are my octave settings. I think it's pretty much the same as before. And dual delay is like this, pretty much the same. This may be higher. I might have increased the reverb right there, so pay attention to that. Nothing happened on that EQ block. So that's just like this. So it's just like more of what I was doing on this patch. Then that I keep that patch for the chorus. And then the very last bridge, super fun, this little part. All that. So it's interesting, that part actually got a little bit cleaner than the part before. Normally you think about a part like that and you think, oh, more overdrive. Well, I was listening to the original recording, and actually I felt like his part was kind of smoother than I was expecting. Check it out. See how it has grit, but not very much. I might be even dirtier than that. So, but at any rate, normally I might reach for my like fuzz or something there. But what I did was instead went for the Benson preamp, at these settings, so kind of moderate settings there, and then I added my prickly pear boost at these settings, and then I don't think I did any output leveling or anything like that, but I just felt like this was a little bit of a cleaner sound, a little bit closer to what they had going on. So that is that is the lead part. So now let's look at the rhythm part. So for the rhythm part, I'm using these red presets. Basically, when I create red, it's for rhythm. Red is rhythm, blue is lead. But I was able to kind of fit everything on one Quad Cortex preset. Although I did want one more slot if I could have it, but I kind of made a concession and made the verse 2 part and the chorus 2 part the same. I'll talk about that when I get there. But the guitar I'm using is an MJT Thinline Telly that I put together. It has Lambertone's V90 in the neck and a red eye in the bridge. And it's right now it's using a 250K tone pot. That should be notable because a lot of guys are putting 500K pots in there. I'm still experimenting, so this is on the warmer side, even though you'll hear it slightly bright. But with a 500K pot, it's very bright. Kind of cool though. So anyway, I might try like a 300K pot, but just so you know, right now this guitar 250K, so it's the warmest it'll ever be in this configuration. So with that in mind though, I felt like this was a bit lower output actually than the Duesenberg. So what I did to compensate or kind of make up for that or level things out, I didn't really want to change the amps, but instead I came up to the compressor block and I maxed out the volume. So at that I felt kind of gave it an equal standing with the Duesenberg. And yeah, I think all the other settings might be the same. Maybe the EQ is different. Let's go look at this really quick. Yeah, so everything else is the same. It's just the volume got increased. So just note that on this. And that's just a note to say that whatever guitar you're using, if it's not a Duesenberg, then you're going to have to maybe mess with things. So just know that like the default setting on my Duesenberg, like on the clean setting, it should be breaking up a little bit. If it's not breaking up at all, then I would turn up the volume on the compressor just to get an increase in level. You could turn up the input volume as well, but then that would just hit your compressor harder and make it compress more. You may want that, but you may not want that. If you just want to like increase your level into the amps, into the drives, I would suggest using the volume on the compressor. Anyway, as far as EQ goes, flat, nothing too crazy there. And yeah, the intro part is kind of that swell part. So I go like this. And that's that. And I have the dual delay going on in addition. Now, this is what I did something a little interesting on the dual delay. I basically made it like a digital delay. I just made eighth note subdivision on both sides, put the feedback equal on both sides. So basically it's just like an eighth going into a dotted eighth. So it's more of a typical dual delay thing. And then these are my settings for the reverb before. These are my settings for the reverb after. I always love using reverb after, especially for swells and stuff like that. I don't always use it for every song, every time, but especially for swells, that's pretty handy. All right, let's look at what's next. Verse 2. So this part starts out neck pickup, and it goes like this. Well, I should say that's the turnaround, rather. Actually, I should have marked this turnaround through chorus 2, but whatever. You get the idea. And then verse 2 goes all the way up here. Watch the video for the part. but that's the tone. And let's see what I did here. Anything on the compressor? Took the volume down a little bit on the compressor because felt like just it was too loud. And then I did duck a little bit of the low mids here, so I did that, and then added the daily driver, increased the gain on it a little bit, and that's because now typically I would probably prefer this part to be a little bit cleaner, but because I needed to preserve scenes and I was going to share this with the chorus part, I wanted, when I went to the bridge pickup, I wanted that part to have enough grit to it. So ideally, if I had one more scene, I would clean up verse 2, and I would actually probably even dirty up chorus 2 a little bit more. But I kind of split the difference, and it works okay. So got that going on. Again, this is my dual delay into a dotted eighth note delay. So it's got a lot going on. I maybe didn't mean to leave that on, but it's there, and that's what you heard. So it is what it is. This is the reverb block, and there's no reverb after. So this is what it sounds like with chords. So then that bridge part, the fuzzy part, I actually captured my focus fuzz a little bit fuzzier. So I'll tell you what, if you're an owner of my Quad Cortex preset and you're watching this video and you want this focus fuzzier capture, I'll give it to you for free. Just reach out, hit me up. But this part demanded like as fuzzy of a tone as I could get. And I didn't have a capture that really got there. So I had my focus fuzz, but my focus fuzz is actually set to be like a really aggressive overdrive, not like super fuzzy. So anyway, recaptured this. It's very fuzzy. But even then, and that's literally the focus fuzz at its highest setting. So fuzz is dimed. It's all the way up. Even then, I still feel like whatever this guy's using on the track is even fuzzier. I just don't have a fuzz pedal other than that would work. I tried the DRV. It didn't work. But this is really close. And I did this. Let me just show you the settings on that. Increase the mids just because I was hearing that, and then wanted to tame some of that treble. And then I did add the doubler. Just because I wanted that like doubled sound. And then I did something a little interesting here. I was hearing in the track just like a very strong, maybe they double tracked it or whatever. I just was hearing like guitar, panning back and forth. And so what I did to kind of replicate that is I engaged this dual delay with an 8th note on one side, a 16th note on the other side. And that's kind of what that sounds like. So I got close. It's very wide sounding, especially with the doubler, and then especially with those dual delay settings. So that kind of helped. Then I have a reverb block in front, nothing after. And the mix is down a little bit. The decay, even though it's 5 seconds, it's lower than some of my other ones. Yeah, and that's what that sounds like. And then, so you use that patch for that, and then you go to chords. That part's pretty rad. Anyway, you can watch the video for that. But those are the tones. Again, you can snag this Quad Cortex preset over at thetoneshepherd.com and then copy these settings to your heart's desire. If you don't have my all-in-one Quad Cortex preset, steal my ideas. This is how I set it up, and if you can tweak it and use these principles to your own stuff, then be my guest. My gift to you. But one last time before I let you go, again, tons of different resources are available on thetoneshepherd.com. I've got STRYMON presets, Quad Cortex presets, TONEX, and fractals coming and stuff like that. But then I'd love to invite you to my Instagram, where I talk about all things worship and discipleship, you know, worship theology, kind of the deeper stuff. It's fun to talk about gear, but it's also a delight to talk about what we're here for in general, you know, just like giving our lives to the Lord and that being our true and highest form of worship. And so I talk about that on my Instagram. So if you're not following me there, be honored if you would do that. And then obviously, like, for the YouTube thing, subscribe and like and do all that stuff. It helps the channel, and I'd love to continue doing this stuff well into the future, but we'll see what God holds. But anyway, I hope this helped you. Hope you're enjoying this song, and just, you know, being able to worship with freedom in it is my goal for providing these kinds of resources. So anyway, drop a comment, let me know what you think, and if there's anything else I can do for you, how I can pray for you, I'd love to do that. But be blessed, and until I see you in the next video, I already said that, be blessed. So be blessed again, double blessing. Bye.